Hi, I'm Dave,
And I'm Tyler.
and this is the Capcom Show.
Alright, so continuing with the theme of last month, we're going to do an episode of current events that we're going to try to release either a couple days or maybe even an entire week before we actually release our main topic show that we do for the month. And we actually have quite a laundry list of things to go over.
There's a lot of shit that just recently happened within this past month, so...
Mostly, it's probably just because of the holidays. Everyone was off of work for the most part, so there was a lot more shit to go on. And there's also been a lot of big news events that, especially in the last week, it's January 5th that we're actually recording right now.
Yes, today is January 5th, 2020.
And anyone who's actually been paying attention to current events knows that January 5th is a pretty fucked up time right now because there's been a lot of things that's been going on with it, not only in the past 3 weeks, but in the past week alone.
Well, a couple weeks actually, but specifically this past week.
So picking up where we left off, actually, something that was kind of minorly mentioned in the last video. For anyone who doesn't know, Virginia has been had a very widely liberal Democrat elected legislation in the past. I think it was in the past election season that happened.
Mm-hmm.
And as liberals like to do, one of the first things they went after was Second Amendment. While I don't technically believe in the Second Amendment, I do believe in, obviously Marx under no pretext kind of thing. Which is pretty much the same difference, just worded
differently.
Obviously.
Yeah. One of those issues where both caps and comms can agree on ownership of firearms.
That especially the working class in general should be armed because that's their only way of leveraging power over any other kind of ruling class or ruling people.
Or real fast. I have a quote that I'll say if my phone will fucking bring it up.
Nice. Actually, that reminds me.
Yeah, so it's Huey Newton. Any unarmed people are slaves or subject to slavery at any given time. If the guns are taken out of the hands of the people and only the pigs have guns, then it's off to the concentration camps, the gas chambers, or whatever the fascists in America come up with.
Yep, Huey Newton was actually a really good man, by the way. It's kind of a continuation of actually the Black Panthers. It's called the Huey P. Newton Gun Club.
Okay.
It's pretty much all black people ran and operated a gun club. So I follow them around on Facebook, just to keep in touch. I just love gun groups on Facebook because, like I said earlier, you don't really have many liberals in there, so you either get people who know what you're talking about or people who know what you're talking about and you just want to fucking troll them. So
yeah, it's generally either the fucking FUD conservative. Or
the spectrum doesn't exist. You either get one or you get the other.
Yeah.
There's no in between really. So
yeah.
Anyways, back on track with Virginia. Pretty much what they're going through right now is, in American terms, is a complete and utter disregard for the Second Amendment. Now, anyone who doesn't understand, especially if we have an international listeners. Amendments 1 through 10 of the United States Constitution are written in stone. It's called the Bill of Rights. It's the first original 10 amendments that we put in the Constitution back when the country was founded. I believe, I don't remember which article in the Constitution it's written, but they cannot be changed or amended. And it's really broken in some ways, but it's really good because I haven't really had a problem with those 10 amendments. And I get the whole thing about freedom of speech, which I always say freedom of consequence. It's freedom of speech protects you from the government, but if you say some stupid shit and a private citizen comes up and knocks you the fuck out, freedom of consequence. You said some stupid shit, someone came in and knocked you out. So you can't cry First Amendment rights. That's not your right. Someone didn't like what you were saying and they were going to be an asshole about it. They're going to be an asshole about it, but it's consequence, Especially if you're inciting violence. I feel like that's, can't go around saying kill all these people.
I would say it depends on the threat level. Just how much are you actually going to physically threaten someone And
my free speech.
my free speech. Yeah,
My
I'm saying
free
that.
speech.
Anyways, that'll probably be a later topic too.
Oh yeah, that's gonna be a fun episode. Anyways, SB 64. It was originally brought up 11/21/19 in the Senate of Virginia. And what it is it's verbatim: paramilitary activities and penalty provides that a person is guilty of unlawful paramilitary activity if such person assembles with another person with the intent of intimidating any person or group of persons by drilling, parading, or marching with any firearm, any explosive or incendiary device, or in any components or a combination thereof. Such unlawful paramilitary activity is punishable as a Class 5 felony.
So it's pretty fucking crazy.
Pretty much what that is. And this is also, keep in mind, and paired with the whole red flag gun laws that they're really trying to push through.
Mm-hmm.
Also, Kentucky joined in on this. They started announcing Second Amendment sanctuary counties.
Yeah, a lot of counties are nowadays.
And although it's a lot of rightists that are taking
true.
it, and I don't like that, I do stand in solidarity with them because this is something that anyone who is against the United States government should be grasping onto, because this whole movement is literally against the United States government as a whole, or at least at the state level right now, not the federal level.
Mm-hmm.
But it's something that everyone should be embracing, because this is we the people claiming our power over the government and reminding them that even though they think that's a republic, it's a representative republic, even if you want to grasp at straws.
Mm-hmm.
That's judgment, hearsay, whatever you want to call it. Point is that there's a lot of elections going on, and this is us using our voice and forcing our voice to be heard. And they're choosing to disobey, and this is what's happening.
And they're finally doing some disobeying is the whole fucking thing. It's like, wow, you're trying to pick up something that we've been preaching for like how long?
Out of all the things you could have gone after, when they went after abortions, when they were going after telling people when they can and cannot get abortions and charging them with literal murder if they do, which is again a topic for later on. But you could have gone after, Trump also recently said that, or he's trying to actually outright criminalize homelessness. But again, there's a lot of things that we could have been disobedient about. And of course, as America, as fucked, we went after guns.
Yep.
So,
at least they're starting to finally fucking see it. It's just now we just got to make sure they're fucking consistent with it, because we all know how they're not.
It's honestly like I'm glad. Because one of the topics on here has been suggested as a cover-up that we're going to go over tonight with the current events. Has been suggested as a cover-up for Virginia. You know how they always do, where like, people get up in arms about something, and the government's like, shit, this is a firestorm, calm it down, go to something else.
Yeah.
Mainstream media has that. It's corporate led, so they're going to have a narrative to push. That's how they make their money.
Mm-hmm.
So
they're banning like things like martial arts too.
Yeah,
and just essentially freedom of association for any kind of militia activity, basically.
And you can debate about the wording of the Second Amendment as much. I know the wording of it is shitty. It's literally a bunch of commas that seem to be out of place, and the way it's worded is very vague.
Yeah, and the thing was that the language is different. Like the liberals always get hung up on the word well regulated,
regulated, yes,
and they think that means in the common context of today, meaning government control. Well, no, back then that meant to make regulate.
To regulate. Exactly. You have corporate regulation too. For instance, if you want to go after it, ServSafe. We're both former or present fast food workers.
Mm-hmm.
Both of us understand ServSafe is at least I know they kind of go off of public health standards, which is government led. But they're pretty much a private, Overwatch group. Everyone who's in the food industry has to have ServSafe standards that they have to pass. Mm-hmm. And if they get audited and they found out that their ServSafe standards are off, they will literally be shut down.
Yep.
Like it's public health department will actually get after them for it. Mm-hmm. Just like today, I was telling you earlier off mic. We were busy as fuck today, and we're in the middle of a rush. One of my coworkers went out and got potatoes, grabbed them out, and one of the potato bags fell and got wedged between the door and the door frame in the cooler. I was walking back there going to get something and seeing that the cooler was supposed to be at like -4 degrees, at 22 degrees Fahrenheit.
Oh shit!
So I immediately I fucking opened up the fridge and pushed everything back, made sure the door latched, made sure everything latched, and I watched the temperature start dropping. I was like, it was okay. But I'm glad I caught it. Because,
temperature-wise, that's a huge difference.
Oh, fuck yeah. But it fixed itself, obviously, once the door was put back together.
Yeah.
But, yeah, everything about regulation is, you can still have, even in your case, I know it's weird, I'm fucking the one talking about this, but...
That's okay.
You can have private regulation, too, and, yeah, it happens.
Yeah, we'll probably have a more detailed aspect of that
especially on the main topic, we can have that.
Yeah.
I don't know. Whatever. But that's SB 64, and there's a lot of shit coming out of Virginia. I also heard there was a new the budget that they released for this year, 2020, where they upped the budget for corrections.
Is that a federal level or state?
For the state of Virginia, at least.
Oh, okay.
Which I am very against prisons. I'm not for the death penalty exactly, but I am very against private for-profit prisons because you get the war on drugs, you get the war on terror, you get...
With the existence of the state, that for-profit will be used and abused.
Yes, like it is currently.
Yeah.
Like war on drugs.
Another thing, too, is that I will say, at least from my belief, in terms of crime, the focus for criminals, it should be rehabilitation, more
Yes.
so rehabilitation focused and not punishment.
I know with I want to say it was a European country, Scandinavian. I want to say it was. Oh no, it wasn't Scandinavian. It was Portugal. It was Portugal. I'm thinking of.
Portugal, they decriminalized all drugs.
They decriminalized all drugs, and anyone who needed help getting rid of addictions, they actually encouraged it, and they
Gave them medical care.
It just dropped out. There's overdoses are almost fucking unheard of in Portugal now because if someone needs help, it's there. It's there for them readily available.
Yeah, another thing too is that they've had at least people on the state side, they've actually had people whose friends have overdosed and they know they're overdosing. They purposely will not call the cops because they will get punished.
They both will get punished.
Yeah, and it's it's either I let my friend die or I call the cops and
we both end up 20 years in
either he
prison.
dies and I go to prison or we both just go to prison.
Yeah.
And it's that's kind of fucked up. I'm trying to help my friend and you're punishing me for it.
Right. I mean, yeah, people make fucking stupid decisions, but they shouldn't be punished for it in such a way that they end up paying their 20... I feel like trauma is one of the best punishments. If someone has an issue where they overdose, a lot of times they might not want to fucking do that again. I know I've had times where weed's going to get me laughed at a lot because I've done a lot of stupid shit with weed, but there have been times, my last actually instance was when we were going to that Chicago concert out with my friends. I haven't told you about that. Louviette, Corporal Con, I didn't.
No, I was just saying you didn't tell me about this.
There's back in the beginning of October. We went out to Chicago and we got, of course, on our way out, Battle Creek we stopped and we got a couple edibles and everything. This is my last time I ever did edibles because I don't react well with them. Mm-hmm. I don't do edibles anymore because it gives me such a bad experience. I don't fucking like it, And I can't speak for people who struggle with drug addictions and substance abuse problems because I don't think I have that issue. I like to think that I can
control yourself.
Yes, but that's my privilege. I don't think there's a problem with that, but I can understand that trauma can be a good teacher like that. And the whole thing of them raising up corrections isn't to help deal with the war on drugs, which everyone knows is a fucking failure to begin with.
In terms of actually trying to reduce the supply and consumption of drugs. Yeah. Another thing we forgot to write down here was the federal age for buying cigarettes now is raised to 21. Which is so fucking... Oh, and then I saw a cop post earlier today.
Or the one with 200 fucking cartons of cigarettes that they arrested for someone because because they're wanting to sell it, or they bought them legally. All right, this is fucking bullshit, and this is probably gonna also be talked about. I almost fucking tipped my mic there. You saw that.
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna probably touch up on this. I'm gonna write that down actually. Taxes, and fucking circle it. So
this guy bought like a whole bunch of cases or cartons of cigarettes legally.
Yeah.
And then he was trying to sell them.
Yeah.
Essentially. And that's all he was doing.
Yeah.
So, and they were claiming that they weren't getting the tax on
the cigarettes, which is bullshit
because they already did.
They already sold the cigarettes. There was already a sales tax initiated or put on the cigarettes. Those people bought property legally, and there was nothing wrong with it.
Mm-hmm.
Until they thought or they deemed that they had enough to distribute.
Yep.
Not that, these guys are chain smokers, maybe they need 200 fucking cartons of cigarettes, which I will admit is shady as fuck, and obviously they're going to distribute it. But again, that's no one's business except their own.
Exactly.
That's them being like, hey, we can take advantage of this and illegally sell these cigarettes to people who have a nicotine addiction now that can't fucking get their fix. And that's what the state wants, is they want someone who can't get their fix, because now that weed's starting to become massively legal, state-wise, it was like half the fucking United States, you can literally just can't afford weed. Well, hope you're close to the border of one state, because you're going to fucking afford it if you travel 50 miles.
Exactly.
And that's one of the main things, is I feel like it's because they can't criminalize weed as efficiently anymore.
Because so many people are against, at least when it comes to weed, they're against that being illegal. I mean, you still got people saying, well, we government needs to tax and regulate and all that kind of crap. I mean, that's a separate issue, but at least we
will actually be getting to weed legislation eventually in this episode, or in this actual current events episode, because I do have a topic, because, it's local to Michigan too. We just passed legislation last year about it. So, so that's Virginia was, you did have an article that you did send me. I'm trying to stay on topic here. I'm sorry.
That's all right. No, that's all right.
We're already at almost 20 minutes.
Which article?
The strip search one. Strip search.
Oh yes, an 8-year-old was strip searched at a Virginia prison. She was told it was the only way to see her dad.
Yep.
Which is unbelievably fucked up. 8 years old.
8 years old. And they think they're smuggling contraband.
Yeah, I was like, are you kidding me? Like straight pedo.
Yeah.
There's no freaking way.
And the article, which we should probably start saving these articles that we're mentioning, and
you know what? I'll put them in the description.
Yeah. But the article mentioned that no one who issued the search actually had the authority to do so. So there was a clear breach, and it all ties back into the thing of, this is why I don't trust cops and corrections.
They claimed that the girl was accompanied by her father's girlfriend. She was visiting her father, and so his girlfriend was with her.
Yeah.
To visit him, and the reason they strip searched her was partly because the girlfriend is not technically a legal guardian.
Yeah.
And so apparently that gave justification to strip search an 8-year-old.
I'm gonna say this right now. If you think there's ever justification to strip a fucking child, kill yourself. Just do the work. There's no fucking, unless it's your own child. Unless it's your own child and you're helping them get dressed. That's the only fucking way. If you can't just say strip search that fucking child. You can't. That's just blatantly fucked up.
I can't even think of an example in which that would actually be necessary. So unless that this child actually has a history of being psychotic and being violent, because there have been a few rare cases. It's very, very rare.
Very rare, especially at 8 years old. Usually those tendencies don't show up until teenage years.
Yeah, and you got to have some actual evidence to support that. Obviously,
and I can guarantee you there was no fucking evidence, and if there was, they didn't have that on hand.
Oh yes, it's objectively false in this case. But I'm just saying, that's that, and then your parenting scenario are the only two justifications I can even think of, and obviously. The first one I mentioned of psychologically disorder, being a psychopath, that's so extremely rare it doesn't even apply.
from what I understand about the I am going to be grilled for this, I feel, but I forgot the complete name of the actual disorder that it is. I want to say it's like sociopathy or something. Layman's term, psychopathy. Usually the symptoms don't actually start appearing until around the time of 8 years old.
That's
Most
like
of the
when-
time around puberty is when they start
Puberty
coming,
is generally
coming
when
around.
when it comes out. Yeah.
And then, but yeah, and then they want to fucking give these people more money because they want, and the reason they're thinking is because they're going to go through these, red flag laws and all these really bad fucking gun laws that are going to incriminate tons of people for owning personal property or private property.
yeah.
It's literally it's to incriminate someone, and there's no buyback. Like there's no mandatory buyback for some of these. That's what pisses me off as well, because now you're saying that you own this for no fucking reason except for the fact that you say you own this, and because you have owned people who will back that up for you that are on your payroll. So,
which is obviously not how property works. And it's like, possessing this thing is a crime. Okay, so what happens when you take it from me? Are you gonna
are you gonna be the criminal?
Yeah, you're gonna be the criminal now because you're the one possessing it.
Yeah.
Oh no, it's okay for me to possess it, just
Exactly.
not you.
Yeah.
Oh, it just reinforces that bullshit double standard.
But anyways,
So that was another.
I swear to God, if this shit keeps going on, like Virginia keeps coming up in my fucking news feed.
So yeah,
in the next 3 weeks, we're just gonna have its own fucking episode at this point.
I've already had one of my Facebook friends say, calling it now the big luau is gonna start in Virginia.
I'm just been calling it Boogaloo Watch for the
Yeah.
past 3 weeks.
Yeah. So this is another thing related to Virginia was this is an article from Law Enforcement Today. So obviously you would say, okay, this is heavily biased in favor of police.
Right.
And it is. But in this article,
Oh yeah,
They
that's
were-
right. You were telling me about
yeah,
this.
so they actually received a
forgot about
warning saying, stop reporting on the Virginia militia or your editors will be charged as felons. So obviously, the level of like tyranny that this has to become to in order to even attack generally a pro police
Yeah.
page is fucking, that's pretty high.
I'd like to point out that it's ironic that they did that.
It is ironic.
I don't know if they're actually like telling the truth with that, because there are some people out there, Jussie
That's
Smollett,
true.
for instance. There are some people out there
Who will lie about it.
about something that's obviously a fucking crime, or obviously like, wow, this is outrageous. Only to get the street cred for it. You know what I mean? But you get the cases where it's most of the time it is true. Not a lot of people like to tattle like that.
Mhm.
And I love it because that government is now not only saying, hey, we're going to possibly break the Second Amendment, but anyone who tries to use, or any press institution that tries to talk about, militias or any part of the Second Amendment, we're also going to charge, which is a breach of the First Amendment, which is freedom of the press.
Which you need the Second Amendment in order to back up the First Amendment.
Yep. I hate saying this because it paints me in the light of a Republican, and I fucking despise Republicans.
Exactly. I know.
I actually despise both of the parties. I've gotten to the point where I just hate both of them because liberals fucking ruin everything for me. Like I'd trust a conservative because I know half the shit they're talking about. Like I can prepare myself for it, but with a liberal these days, you can't fucking know anymore. It bothers the shit out of me. But and it's like I'm just drawing a blank right now. It's the whole thing of every Bill of Rights that we have is guaranteed by the Second Amendment, because everything in the Bill of Rights is literally, and everything, actually every amendment and everything if I remember correctly in the Constitution was pretty much saying the government can't do this to its people, and the people have this power over the government. It's pretty much its own.
And then the 10th Amendment,
Powerless.
which was anything that not reserved to the, not prohibited, like allowed by the federal government, is supposed to be decided by the states.
Yep. That's the whole thing where your Second Amendment defends all of those.
Yeah, the only way you can beat tyranny is by being able to fight back against it.
Yep.
And if you can't do that, then you're kind of fucked.
One of my biggest things, and this is actually tying into our next two topics, which I'm going to try to segue into in the next couple minutes. So please stop. There's a lot of shit going on in Virginia. We can both agree, but
yeah, for sure. But that's all the Virginia related stuff.
Yeah. Mostly there's the whole thing, and especially this fucking pisses me off when liberals say this, because it's half the time liberals are on the receiving end of this. And I can tell you this interaction, I've had it 1,000 times on Facebook, where it's someone saying you can't expect to fight off the world's most powerful military with a couple ARs and some homemade bombs.
Oh, that shit, yeah.
Welcome to the rice fields, motherfucker. I would like to point out that historically, we have gotten our asses kicked by guerrilla warfare. Asymmetrical warfare always beats a grand battle strategy organized military. The only reason why it takes so long is because having an air force is really fucking strategic in combat these days. If you have an air force, you can immediately turn the tide of war of any battle like that, you know. Civilians don't have access to an air force, so that's the only thing that the U.S. military has above us. We have vets who have already been combat trained. We have a lot of people out there who know how to make bombs. It's
common knowledge, pretty much.
Anarchist Cookbook has been out for 20, 30 years by now.
And you can buy it on Amazon.
Which is fucking adorable.
There's also, actually on Amazon, they have a bunch of other books that are military based too. It's how to buy or build incinerators and explosives was another one I saw.
There's a lot of stuff out there. It's
common knowledge. You can
the greatest thing about it, the internet, is also the worst thing about the internet. Everyone
knows it.
Everyone knows about stuff, and it's the quickest way to get information around these days. But
yeah,
speaking of information, and it's something that did tie in to last month's episode. This came out. This is something that the Democrats, originally it was touted as the Democrats wanting to release, but I found out that it's not just the Democrats doing it. It was pretty much a private third-party initiative. The Afghanistan Papers. Pretty much what they are is they're a list of interviews and recordings of interviews that have been tried to be shut down by the U.S. military and U.S. government for 3 years. And it's pretty much detailing that, just like the Iraqi war, everything about the that's the same site I was looking at, everything about the Afghanistan war that we've been told is pretty much false. We're not winning the war. We're never winning the war, obviously. Anyone who has any kind of, common sense will see that we've been over there for 18 years. There are kids that are now going over there to fight.
In the same war their fathers did.
In the same war that their fathers did. And in a war that has been going... It's normal for them. At this point, it's normal for them. They turn on the fucking TV when they're eating their cornflakes before, elementary school. Oh, something about Afghanistan. Then now they're grown up. They're now in the news fighting in Afghanistan. It's... No war should last 20 fucking years. If you're fighting a war that long, you need to just piece the fuck out.
Just give up.
Because that means that you, especially, and I had this conversation with a friend of mine, because we were talking about it, and I'm like, a lot of our problems in society these days go back to the military-industrial complex. A lot of it can be fixed by pulling out of the Middle East. And my friend said, here's the thing, though. America will look like a weak son of a bitch if we do that. We've been over there for 20 years fighting people who don't even have a navy, don't even have an actual air force. And if we haven't won yet...
That's pretty fucking pathetic already.
That's pretty fucking pathetic. We've been bombing them. It's the whole thing, like I've been saying this entire episode, it's the same thing as war on terror, it's the same thing as war on drugs. The reason why I keep bringing this up for insight is and the reason why I'm very fucking talkative about this shit today is because last night I had a run-in with a very neoconservative friend of mine. He claims to be a centrist, but lately, since Trump's been doing this bullshit, he's been on it.
Seems to bring out the neocons in people.
So, anyways, I say friend, I mean...
Loosely.
I know him as someone he shares memes a lot. and they're good memes, but he's otherwise a shit human being, and he's a class traitor for one, and that's why I don't fucking like him, because he comes from a working class family and he thinks his shit don't stink, and it showed last night. It was a fucking slaughter fest, because he would just keep bringing up shit I never mentioned. I never mentioned Iran once. And he's like, why are you defending Iran? I'm just like, I'm not defending Iran. Iran can go fuck itself. I'm just saying that America can go fuck itself too. Like, but the whole thing about it was, if you can't win a war in 20 years, you're already making a mockery of yourself. You're the most strongest military force on the planet, and you can't fucking win that, and it's pathetic. That's my whole reason about the going back to the Second Amendment. If they can't fucking defeat people who are loosely organized, who the only thing tying them together other than a sense of community is
how much they fucking hate the U.S.
And their own religious faith. You're telling me that we can't do that again? I mean, yeah, the whole thing about home field advantage gets nullified in a Civil War aspect, but you're telling me that we can't put up the same fight that they can? That's fucking preposterous.
Yeah.
But anyways, the whole thing about the Afghanistan papers is I wanted to bring it up originally as part of the impeachment process, because that's around the time, it was about a week before Pelosi just decided to say, I'm just going to keep this in my pocket for whenever the fuck I need it. Likely as a threat to say, don't go for re-election kind of thing. I can guarantee you, if Trump does get reelected this year, they're going to fucking push impeachment, because that's just how they do. That's Democrat way. That's fucking politics these days.
It is.
But here's the thing. Here's the underlying thing, and I actually was going to comment on it, and then I decided not to bring it up because I was also getting off course with it. America has committed a lot of war crimes in the past 20 years. It's a never-ending list lately. One of my favorite anecdotes is Barack Obama was in power for 8 years, and he, on average, dropped one bomb every 20 minutes continuously. That's just on average of how many bombs that he fucking dropped in Middle Eastern countries. Every 20 minutes, one bomb on average is being dropped.
Can you imagine if any other country did that to America?
Yeah, we'd be fucking up in arms. We'd be pissed.
Yeah,
we would be the same way they're talking about death through America over there. We'd be the same way to that country. And that's what pisses me off. I'm going to save that. I'm going to fucking place that rant on the back burner, because I want it for the next topic, because that's what I'm going to get into next soon. Right. But, so first off, and on the whole war crimes thing that was released originally in the Afghanistan papers, their whole reply to this, the U.S. government, was, any international, I fucking forgot it. It's the ICC. It's like the World Congress kind of thing. It's part of the UN, I believe. I've never really heard the ICC mentioned so much, so I'm kind of clueless as to what it actually is. If anyone could fucking clarify that, that'd be great. So I'm too lazy to open up my phone and look for it right now while I was on open mic.
International Cricket Council? I'm just kidding.
Yeah, Trump's going after the cricket people. But no, none of my notes right here is U.S. to arrest ICC judges for Afghan crimes. That's not implying that the judges committed the crimes. That's any ICC judge that is on American soil going after the crimes committed against or in the Afghanistan war by American forces and coalition forces. Will be arrested and charged.
International Criminal Court is what it stands for.
Okay. Yeah, something related to the UN. But pretty much what it is a body that I would say has more power than the federal government is being threatened by the federal government right now, saying that you can't do what you want to do here. We will arrest you. And I think that is a lot of big dick energy from the U.S. government. And by a lot of big dick energy, I also mean fucking stupid. I don't like it. I don't like it at all. I don't like the fact that they think that they can get off telling a governing body that's supposed to, not make us look like the assholes. As difficult that is, to not make the U.S. military and U.S. government look like assholes, they fucking make it even more difficult to do that job. Like, but pretty much that whole, I feel like that just ties into their guilt. Like, they know they fucked up and they don't want anyone investigating it, because then that's going to, you know, create a lot of things that they don't want to have. It's like the fall of Rome. There's a lot of things that they don't want the public to know, because if the public knows about it, they're going to get pissed.
Mm-hmm.
And you can't. And you already deny basic health care. You already deny a lot of things, and you're already fucking over people's rights by, you know, taking away cigarettes or making it so they can't even have a good fucking time without paying for it.
There's so many ways.
There's so much ways that the U.S. government is just fucking over its citizens constantly. I'm pretty sure something of, hey, your government's also genocidal. Like, I know this. A lot of people I know this, but it's not public. It's not publicly accepted. It is public knowledge that this is a genocidal state. It's public knowledge that a lot of states are genocidal.
Mm-hmm.
It's not publicly accepted, though, because a lot of people still want to debate about it.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Like, literally in my local groups, they're bringing out fucking taking in refugees.
Yeah.
And then it's that whole argument of, oh, well, my ancestors came in here legally.
No,
You know, I don't want my tax
I
money to go to veterans and all this shit. And it's like, oh my gosh.
it's just a bunch of grandstanding and virtue signaling.
Yes, oh my gosh, I hate it.
But, anyways, so that's pretty much it for the Afghanistan papers. There hasn't really been much coverage about it.
No,
because
very
they
little.
obviously they wanted to fucking shove this shit under the rug, so they've been trying. I'm pretty sure they've been trying to watch the media for it. But the biggest news: Iran. Anyone who has been living under a rock for the last, I don't know, 2 weeks. By the time we upload this episode, I guess, maybe, I don't know. Depends on the time.
I'm hoping to have
Anyone who's been living under a rock since the ball drop. How about that? In the last week, you know.
Yeah.
Iran.
So should we take this off of where it started?
Yeah, I mean, if you want to.
No, I'm just saying, like, because it all started with killing, what's his face?
The general. General.
What's his name?
Hold on, guys. We're looking it up. I don't want to mispronounce it though, so I'm going to try my best. Qasem Soleimani. I want to say that's the correct pronunciation from what I understand about it.
Qasem Soleimani.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Mm-hmm. He was an Iranian major general in the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, and
I believe that's Iranian.
Iranian. Yeah, sorry, I probably missaid that.
Oh no, you're right. Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps. Oh, you're reading right from the Wikipedia article. Okay. I see.
You can trust Wikipedia,
dude. You fucking get. All right. Anyone who says that you can't trust Wikipedia, fucking punch them in the face, please. The reason why is because Wikipedia literally gives you references. It does all of your work for you, and most of the time they make sure their shit's correct. Like, if you ever need to fucking cite sources, I usually go there and look at the shit I need to know, and then just grab the source and then fucking throw it in. But yeah, he was
This happened after the protests outside the base.
It was a protest, and a lot of the Prime Minister of Iraq actually did a lot to help out that embassy. He made sure that people dispersed, and they did. Iraqi people, and again,
I will say, give credit where credit is due. At least the embassy didn't engage in unnecessary military tactics.
Yeah,
I will say that it could have ended a lot worse.
It could have ended in a massacre. Let's be honest.
Exactly.
And I think that's what the people wanted, because that's what a lot of people want stateside right now. Is just all it takes is one massacre, and it's going to be fucking set off. The Boston Massacre, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, the whole rant I had bottled up for this, and this is pretty much the whole thing that we were talking about last night, is it all ties back in the war on terror. It gets pretty easy to keep deeming people terrorists when you keep your citizens in the dark about them, kill them, and then when it comes out of why did you kill this person? Oh, they were a terrorist. All right.
Oh, well, free pass for you.
Yeah, free pass. and it gets easier when they fit the cookie cutter bill. Mm-hmm. They're Middle Eastern or of some kind of Islamic, and they're not white. So, it makes sense for such a government like the United States, which is a mostly white-ran, mostly Western. I know I'm kind of bringing racial politics into this,
Well,
but
I mean, because it plays
it plays really fucking well. Because I'm not going to lie, there's a lot of fucking white supremacists in this country. And knowing that one of their gravest enemies is not white validates them. It gives them kind of their own existence. And so it's fucking easy. It sticks. That's good. America fucking gobbles it up. That's what I was trying to explain to my contact on Facebook last night, but he was being fucking ignorant about it and grandstanding and everything about it. He was all over the place. You saw.
Oh yeah, he kept changing the goalposts.
Every fucking time I brought something up, he's like, "No, you don't know what you're talking about." And it's like, dude, you have been.
Anyone reading this conversation knows you fucking schooled.
Fox News 24/7 down your throat, and you think you know more about the fact that I've been fucking paying attention to every news outlet, because again, I'm in gun groups, so like I have, I've seen what the right's talking about, because gun groups are mostly populated by right people, by
You're in a lot of other groups too.
Yeah, so I know a lot about what people are talking about. I keep my nose to the ground on some things, ears to the ground, I should say, nose to the ground. Woo!
Ears open, just
yeah. But it also came out, and I do remember hearing about this when it originally came out, about the 53 billion barrels of oil that was found.
So this was reported on fucking November 11th or 10th.
And I remember my specific words are all, looks like, and I remember jokingly saying Iran could use some democracy.
Yes, this was reported November
2 months later, Trump, Iran could use some democracy.
Yep, new oil field with 53 billion barrels of crude oil found. That's how much oil, and it's like, and that was reported November 10th, and now we're seeing all this shit with Iran come up, and it's like, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
This is all about.
A lot of people say that they attacked us first, and I'm not going.
Well, if you're talking about just the embassy thing, there's
also been they shot down a United States drone. Which they should. We're not at war with them. There was in violation of airspace laws. We were flying a drone over Iranian airspace, and Iran was like, fucking shoot that shit down.
Well, it was just a fucking drone. But then what about when the U.S. Blew up a civilian aircraft?
Yeah, way back, like, what was that, in the 80s?
Yeah, it was a while ago. But that killed like 200-something civilians.
Yeah.
It's like, are you kidding? And they gave us...
The government has been treating Iran like shit. I remember there was a post where... it was an article where it was an interview with Iran, with an Iranian citizen, and he said, when we say death to America, we don't care about the civilians or the citizens of America. We mean death to this oppressive regime. You people invaded us, occupied us, and then you constantly kill us. You harass our families, you harass our friends, and we're just sick of it. And it ties into the whole thing of war on terror being fake, because...
War on terror is like, let's breed terror and then fight a fake war against what we call terror.
And it's all justification for oil, because it just so happens that most of the time it happens in the Middle East, where a lot of the world's oil deposits are.
And drugs.
Yeah.
That's part of the reason, but it's mostly oil.
Mostly oil. Drugs is literally the war on drugs, which we also use... Fuck Ronald Reagan. I'm going to say that right now. Mm-hmm. Both war on terror and war on drugs started in the Reagan years. Back when we had the, Munich Olympics stuff happen, and it was back in the 70s and 80s, I believe, when this all came out. And it was around the time when the Soviets invaded Afghanistan and occupied Iran. Mm-hmm. It was, there was a lot of things. Back in 53, we actually did, American things where we decided, is that democratically elected? The people have spoken and we don't like what the people said, so we think we know what's best in them. Like, I feel like...
Go over and replace their leadership?
With a brutal fucking dictatorship.
Because that works out so well.
Chile.
Fucking shit.
Fucking Pinochet. Anyway... So it's just a whole bunch of shit. I think it's gotten to a point where Iran's just fucking sick of it, and it came to a peak now. There's been a lot of talk about World War III being thrown around.
Yeah,
it's because Iran has friends with China and is friends with Russia, and they buy a lot of arms from China and Russia. So if we're kind of putting up two war economies against each other, and two of them are pretty powerful, and one side is pretty powerful, the other one is, as much as it pains me to admit it, pretty powerful as well. All I can say is it's going to be a next couple of fun years for us between Virginia and here, because it's literally coming back full circle to 2016 with Civil War or World War III.
Yeah, it's like, seriously, Civil War or World War III, because either or, it's going to start some shit. And it's like, can you imagine if both started at the same time? The U.S.
That's what I think it's going to happen. I think it's immediately going to happen like that. They're going to declare war, and China and Russia are going to jump in, and it's...
Draft is going to come back,
The draft is going to come back because China immediately fucking steamrolls us. Just by manpower alone. It's quite literally, I don't want to use this comparison because it's too fucking cookie cutter, but it's quite literally the Soviets versus the Germans back in 43. China is technologically inferior to us in technology-wise. But supplemented with Russia, both of those have the numbers to easily outmatch us like 5-1. Mm-hmm. 3 or 5 soldiers to 1. And at that point, all of this technology doesn't stop bullets. So how are you going to win a ground war when you can't stop? And that's the greatest thing. You can't invade China. It's physically impossible to, just like how it's physically impossible to.
They have
geographic advantage.
Yes.
And we have geographic advantage. It is impossible to navally invade the United States because both sides are a fucking logistical nightmare. Mm-hmm. Russia, it's not so difficult. As long as you don't fucking do it in the winter time, because everyone knows the winter time. You're going to get fucked.
If you plan it right, you could. Russia would be the easiest, but still, it's not smart. Obviously.
It's never smart, and you know what that means. If you can't win a ground war, and you know what America does when you can't win ground wars, I'll just bomb them into submission. Yeah. That always works. It doesn't breed terrorists.
Not at all.
And again, when it goes back to the whole world of terrorists, I can also bring up domestic terrorism here. Terrorists, if you're against an oppressive occupation, if you're against any kind of oppressive entity, that oppressive entity, if they fear you enough, will label you a terrorist to control the minds of those that it oppresses.
Mm-hmm. Hell, it's like one of those things of the U.S. government claiming that anarchists are terrorists.
Yeah,
it was like well then it breeds the status mindset of we need to fear these people and like eradicate them essentially. Yeah. It's like we can use violence and kill them and everything. Yeah, it's not
dehumanizes
about them. It's dehumanizing them, and it's what's the word? It's a form of gaslighting.
Yeah. One of the things I used especially last night was. We said Bin Laden attacked us. We killed Bin Laden. Mm-hmm. ISIS showed up. We killed ISIS. I use quotation marks on that simply because ISIS is still around. They're still alive and well. Mm-hmm. We just haven't been talking about them because we've been funding them. CIA.
So we took care of them.
Yeah, we took care of them. Without batting an eyelash.
In more ways than one.
More ways than one. We fought them, and then we're like, "Oh, Russia's fighting them? Oh no, you're fighting Russia now, motherfucker! Get in there!"
Yeah, really.
It's like the international cockfighting politics. You're just like, "I want $5 on this one. I like his outfit."
This guy's longer though. I bet my money on him.
So now there's no ISIS, there's nothing. And people have been getting smart, rising up and saying, why the fuck are we still over in that desert?
Yep.
So, naturally, what do? You kill someone else who fits the bill, says he was a terrorist, and then say that the country that he worked for, a general of that country, of an actual elected government. And the comparison was, that's like,
someone killing Mike Pence.
Yeah, or like saying like Mattis or something. Like that's someone killing someone right off our Joint Chiefs of Staffs here in the United States.
Yes, and if anyone in the country did that, obviously
we'd be fucking pissed. We'd be fucking huffing up our chest like Iran has been.
Immediately declare war. That's what the U.S. would do.
And then here's everyone on the state side. Oh, well, that means that all Iran are terrorists then.
It's like,
no, it doesn't. It means they're fucking pissed.
There's a difference. Well, there's also a difference between fucking the people and then the government.
Yeah.
And people, they conflate the two all the time. It's like
Until it becomes personal to them.
exactly until it becomes personal. So it's like here's my message to Iran. You know what? If you're gonna kill people, kill the fucking politicians. Just bomb DC or something. Like leave the civilians out of it, unless the ones that are actually like signing up right now to go fight and kill your people. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's like those are the people you have to beat.
Those do exist too.
Yeah.
I joined the military to kill brown people.
Across the seas. Because my freedom's over. Oh, yeah, so someone made a joke, too. It's like, oh, you know what? The legal age to smoke a cigarette over there is 18. I guess our freedoms are over there. It's like, oh, my.
That's fucking great. I'm not even going to lie.
I know, right?
But there's a whole lot of hoopla about it. And honestly, the only thing I can think of is I hope they do. I hope someone fucking goes to war for this, because all hell will break loose. Russia and China get involved, and I can guarantee you people stateside are going to start draft dodging. They're not going to want to fight because they don't want to fucking get killed in another 20
I've
years
already
war.
seen a lot of my Facebook friends openly state they're going to not even draft dodge.
I'd just desert. I would be like, thanks for the basic training.
Yeah.
I'm out. Bye. Thanks for giving me all the knowledge I need to defeat an organized military. Bye.
And then there was this is not anecdotal, but like side note. I saw a meme about explaining why the government is so apt to flag disgruntled vets as possible like terrorists.
Disgruntled vets are my favorite, by the way.
Well, because they understand how fucking
they understand
shitty
how
the
fucked
government
everything is.
Exactly, and then it's like, yeah, well, the U.S. government trained them with the weapons and knowledge to learn how to fight back. So it's like obviously they're scared of them turning on themselves. You know what I mean?
Right.
Their own people.
I know.
You know.
One of this is again back to the war on terror thing. I know one of the greatest things is if you keep people fighting an ideology, you can always give it a face.
Exactly.
Back in World War II, we knew how our enemies were. We knew that the Japanese army, all anyone of the Axis powers, those were our enemies. We knew, and we had a goal to beat, and it was a tangible goal. Beat the Germans, beat the Nazis, beat the fascists, beat the imperialists. Mm-hmm. Those were our goals. Now our goal is what? To defeat terrorists? To defeat drugs?
Which is
how are you going to defeat those?
Yeah, not only because they're also ever changing.
Yeah,
and they're a lot more subjective. And in terms of fucking drugs, it's an intangible object.
There's been two, and I sent you a picture about this. I want to say either it was today or last night. There's two things that I've known that have been around and will always be around. And it's not death or taxes. I don't like using that thing because death. I feel like if we survive, like the human race survives long enough, I feel like we'd overcome death eventually, which I don't want to see. I don't want to be immortal. I want to die eventually.
Yeah.
I'm a millennial. I joke about it all the fucking time. And taxes are, again, topics for later discussion, but it's always going to be drugs will always be around, and sex work will always be around. They've been around since time eternal.
Yeah.
So, and you can't defeat either of these, and the whole reason is Reagan put them up, and I remember I showed you that, right? The whole practical diss track that rapper Killer Mike wrote and recorded called Reagan. He literally wrote a diss track about Reagan.
You might have told me about it.
I think I showed you it at one point. But it pretty much went where doing the almost for hostages thing, where he said that I didn't trade anything for these hostages, they just gave them back, right? And then it was like, oh well, actually, sorry, it turns out that we made a deal with the Contras in Central America to trade cocaine for arms that we then gave to the Iranian or the I can't remember what nationality or what happened with the hostages there, but they gave them to the captors, and that whole deal went on. That's pretty much your ideal war on terror and war on drugs combo right there. Prison Song. That's what I'm thinking of.
Oh, the prison song.
The Prison Song. Anyone who doesn't know,
System of a Down. Prison
System
Song.
of a Down. By the way, if you listen to System of a Down and you're a statist, I don't know what the fuck is wrong with you.
Have you not read their lyrics?
Have you?
Have you not been paying attention?
Surge fucking frowns on you. But utilizing drugs to pay for secret wars around the world. Drugs are now your global drugs
Are now your global
policy.
policy.
Now you police the globe. I'm gonna fucking look up the lyrics because there's
No.
more than that.
There's a lot more to that, but that's
Pretty
one of
much-
the last lyrics of the song.
That's the gist of it, though.
Yeah. There was one more thing I wanted to bring up, and I can't remember what it was. Yeah. This will sort of tie into the episode we're about to record.
All right. All research. I'm just going to read the lyrics right off the thing. All research and successful drug policy shows that treatment should be increased and law enforcement decreased while abolishing mandatory minimum sentences.
Again,
And it's
Portugal.
utilizing Portugal. Utilizing drugs to pay for secret wars around the world. Drugs are now your global policy. Now you police the globe. That's pretty much what America did. They introduced drugs like cocaine into minority communities. Now they can easily incriminate minorities.
Incriminate and control
That gives
them.
you your slave labor.
Yep.
Again, in Killer Mike, something else I believe I showed you. Drug. They the whole war on drugs is mostly the original premise was in fact one to be very racist. Everything about it, prohibition of drugs, have always been targeting on minority communities. One of the reasons why I said with weed legalization now going by is because a lot of white people can profit off of it because a lot of white people got into the business. They realized, man, this shit's fucking awesome. So they got into the business. Now there's a lot of white people that can profit off of it. I'm just saying. I'm just kind of. I might be conflating the two, but it's there. It's there. It's something that
something you have to take into consideration.
Yeah, I'm not saying correlation equals causation with this, but there is a correlation with this. It might just be
Anecdotal. But
coincidental, I guess. But the whole part about it is you get all these people doing all these drugs, you get them hooked on it, and then you fucking ban them all. You crack down on it, and now you got all these people who are hooked on these drugs that need treatment, that need help. And instead, what you're going to do is you're going to make them quit cold turkey, throw them in a fucking pen for 10, 20 years at a time, and then force them to do your labor for nothing.
You don't have to pay them anymore.
You don't have to pay them anymore because or you have to pay them like 3 cents an hour, which is fucking ridiculous. They don't take taxes out because they're technically government workers and all that stuff and da-da-da. But 3 cents an hour, and you gotta think on a 40-hour work week, you're not making any more than $1 a week.
Yeah, which is...
I mean, I don't imagine the economy is really that bad in prison because I from what I heard, they use cigarettes as currency. But
Yeah, that's one of the most...
I've never been to prison, obviously, so I don't know.
Well, when it comes to prison,
I'd say ban them all, but
Larkin, you know who Larkin Rose is, right?
It sounds familiar.
Oh, I'm surprised you aren't more familiar with him. Anyway, he made a video called The Market. It was called The Supermarket. Anyway, he was talking about his time in prison and how people were voluntarily trading and using like a candy bar or cigarettes was a common one or other shit. And how the prison system worked, and how they had elements of free marketism in the prison system, and that the prison system wouldn't actually work if that was actually abolished, and all the rules were actually enforced like they're supposed to.
Yeah,
and it reminds me of the movie of The Shawshank Redemption.
Yeah,
did you see that movie?
It's been a while.
Yeah, but that's one of my favorite movies, by the way. But the whole system of Andy Dufresne and training and the posters, everything like that, it's like you can't stop people from trying to get something if they want it. Yeah, and that's something that you will never be able to.
The determination beats almost everything.
Exactly. You got people that are determined to get something, they're gonna get it.
Yep. The whole. By the way, future reference, and the actual episode for this month, I'm gonna fucking use that against you on this.
Well, we'll see.
You know how much I love the whole bartering system and everything. So,
well, like I said, like the thing is, like, if enough people want it and they can find a
there's
way.
your market for it. You know, you got to market.
Exactly.
It's the whole thing of supply and demand, which is not. It's not capitalist owned.
We'll get into that shit.
Our topic for this month is economics, and I feel like that ties in.
Yeah.
So.
I don't know. Here, did you want to talk? This is something that was Iran related, but it's probably more so an actual fucking episode kind of topic. I think we already covered that. We already kind of covered that.
Yes, conquered property does not exist. Because conquered means that you took it by force. So
exactly. So yeah, the reason I'm saying this tweet comes from the redheaded libertarian, and she said conquered property is legitimate, and I'm just like, okay, even from my understanding of libertarianism, you're a fucking idiot. That's not right. So, and the thing is that she would say this about on a large scale, right? If you're talking about countries,
yeah.
And you're saying I conquered a country, therefore it's legitimate. Okay, well, what happens when you apply that to a small scale?
Yeah.
So me and my neighbors, we all get together, we force one particular people out of their house.
Yep. And call it conquered.
And call it conquered. Are you going to say that's legitimate? Or are you going to say no, that's not legitimate?
You fucking they need that house, jackass.
And yeah, it's like and it's like also too, how can you claim to believe in property rights if you're saying that as long as there was enough force to physically remove them from the property, that like how
the force doesn't justify it. It's
exactly you're going into the might makes right ideology.
Yeah, and the communist in me is screaming, well, might makes right sometimes, and at the same time it's nuanced, but we'll get into that eventually.
But that's the thing where it's like you can't fucking claim to believe in property rights if at the same time you're justifying violating property rights because it fits your narrative. Like, no, that's not how it fucking works. All right, so I think we've done enough for current events.
Can we just touch up on something that I didn't write down?
Good.
And this should be right down your fucking ballpark, like I said. Wow, 1 hour, Jesus Christ. Fuck it, there's a lot of shit that happened over the last couple weeks. I did write down, this is local to us, being that we are in Michigan, weed legalization efforts. For those of you who don't know,
for weed in Michigan.
Yeah, there's been a lot of fucking shit that's just been said about it.
Lately I haven't heard really anything about it personally.
All right, so those of you who don't know, the Prop 2, which was our weed legislation, that was on the ballot 2018. Mm-hmm. It passed. It was flying colors pretty much. I think it was like 70-30 kind of thing. Kind of split like that. Something like that.
2/3 to 1/3.
Yeah, pretty much.
Somewhere there.
It passed in November 2018, and it took a year to go into effect, like everyone to get their actual recreational licenses. Now, here's the thing. Detroit has been just a corrupt mess. Fucking spiraling out of control ever since the race riots in '69. And it just keeps going that way. You know, the big three are doing their bullshit and whatnot. A lot of people look for weed legalization, especially in the city of Detroit, as a revitalization. Ann Arbor was the only city in the state to legalize recreational weed, or to fully go through with it. It's legal all the way throughout the state. So even if you're not in Ann Arbor, if you get pulled over by any cop, they've been told not to even fucking care. Weed does not give probable cause anymore. Like the smell of weed does not give probable cause anymore because it's legal here. Unless you're a Fed boy, then it still does because it's illegal.
Okay,
but you can't sell it recreationally unless you're in Ann Arbor.
You can't. Okay. So in all other areas, you have to be a licensed dealer and everything.
Yeah, you still have to have the whole med card loophole. And I want to preface this by a couple days ago, me and my friend who actually has a med card, he texted me and was like, "Hey, I got this good deal on Shatter, or those of you who don't know, it's wax that you put into a dab pen. It's pretty much just THC concentrate. Fucking works great. I love it. and it's almost odorless unless you don't have proper ventilation. Then you're gonna fucking stink. But it's like as you're driving down 8 Mile. For those of you who don't know, 8 Mile isn't just some street that Eminem grew up on. It's actually a practically physical boundary of Detroit and northern Metro Detroit.
Yeah.
On the south side of 8 Mile is actually the Detroit city limits, and on the north side is not Detroit city limits. Mm-hmm. So, and as you're driving down along the south side, you get Detroit as all of these fucking dispensaries that they could be making fucking bank off. They could be using it to implement public systems that could help out revitalize the economy in the city and bring the city back to its former glory. And instead, they're saying no. They're saying, no, we're not going to let this be recreationalized. We're going to let it only be medical. So you still have to get a med card to fucking buy it. And now that I'm actually talking about this, I understand that they can still get tax revenue because they still have to go through a state, to get the med card.
Yeah.
But med cards cost $160. You get sales tax on it and everything. You get, off the top of my head, that's maybe another $20, maybe. I don't know. It's 6% in Michigan. Plus, I know and then when you're buying your weed, they slap on a 3% excise tax. Mm-hmm. And you think fun in the state of Michigan is taxed. I always used to say Snyder wants his fucking money. Now I say Whitmer wants her fucking money.
Bitch whore. Wants her fucking money.
But, yeah, the state. But and I fucking hate sales tax, by the way. We'll get into that on the main episode, but I fucking hate it.
And I have my own beef with people who claim that's the one form of voluntary tax. No, it's not.
No, it's not. It's fucking not. Straight up, it's fucking not. Like,
we'll get that's later for another rant. But
yeah,
anyway,
that's for our main topic. But I feel like a state that decides to say, yeah, we're legalized it statewide, but those who are still serving time, I believe it actually is, or those in the state of Michigan who had gotten jailed on possession of weed have still not had their records expunged.
Yeah, they're still
in prison. So,
which is fucked up.
It's equally fucked up that you can smoke recreationally now. You can't buy it unless you go to Ann Arbor, and and even if you go there, it's fucking the prices are sky high because supply and fucking demand make it that they need to raise it sky high because their supply does not meet their demand. So now they have to make it so that only few people of the demand can get to the supply. And there's a price wall.
And yeah, actually, there's a great video on this. Side note on YouTube. It's called "Supply and Demand." Based on from the war on drugs. War on drugs, supply and demand. It's something like that. It's an excellent video of explaining why the war on drugs necessarily fails from an economic standpoint.
Yeah.
Side note. Anyway, you can continue.
But the war on drugs are pretty much just justifying police brutality.
Yes, that's that's one of the main contributing factors of the militarization of the police.
Yep, it justifies the fact that all drug dealers are violent, which is fucking bullshit. Every drug dealer I've ever met didn't even own a gun. They're just like, yeah, you just don't do stupid shit to attract, the cops. Yeah. It's pretty fucking easy. They're pretty easy to fool.
Yeah, actually, so the thing about drug lords or whatever too, there was one city, I can't remember where it was, and they had known 38 drug leaders in the area. Yeah. And so all of at once, they arrested all of them, succeeded in getting all of them. And so for the first week, you couldn't find heroin anywhere.
Yep.
But then second and third week, other dealers started popping up. And by the end of the month,
it was all back.
It was all back to fucking normal. And now they had no idea who was supplying it. So it's like, well, what's the fucking point? You didn't solve anything except for on a temporary basis, and now you're back to square one.
Yeah.
Actually, you're back to square zero because now you don't know who any drug dealer is.
Yeah, now you have to fucking start back.
Exactly. You have to do all that work to even find who's dealing it again.
Yep.
It's like you're not solving the freaking problem.
All right. All right. So I think even though that was usually we tried originally when we thought of the idea of current events to try to keep it to be 30 to 45 minutes.
Yeah, we're already at
This
hour 10 minutes.
This is as long as our first like episode last month was. So
Yeah, our first main episode was an hour and a half.
yeah. So yeah. But that pretty much ties it in. Stay tuned. We're going to do the recording of our main topic episode right after this. But you guys probably won't hear it for at least a day after you hear this.
Yeah, I'm gonna try and have both of these up by the end of the week.
Obviously, starting off with the current events.
Yeah, the current events will go up first, and then I'll do the main episode.
Also, for anyone who actually does follow us on the social media accounts, Facebook especially, because we're both very active on Facebook ourselves, and even in.
I may not post a lot, but I'm always like on Facebook.
He's always on Facebook. I'm always on Facebook. I'm the more talkative one, obviously, but a lot of some of the posts, like some of the more like shit posting that you see coming from the Facebook, most of the time that's me. I remember last episode. Yeah. It was a little bit time after the last episode that fucking Disney copyright thing.
Yeah, you posted that. The only thing I posted was that stupid.
Reserve Anarchy.
Yes, because I saw that in the ANCAP or ZANCOM debate group.
Yeah.
And
but I mean, feel free to engage with us. You don't have to be political all the time. If you want to just say hi, just fucking jump in and say hi. I mean, we're not complete dicks.
Neither of us have shared anything in that group yet.
An AVA. Yeah, it's because it's a public group. I don't want to be public in there because since it's a public group, it gets shared to your wall as well. So.
Wait.
It's a public group, so people on your friends list can jump in and comment on it.
Oh, I did not know that. Oh, so you gotta do that from a sock account.
Yeah.
Okay.
I still gotta make one of those.
Weren't you planning on doing that like a month ago?
I am very terrible at holding myself to a schedule, let's be honest here. So, but yeah, anyways, our next topic is pretty much, or our next episode that we're going to record right after this is it's economics and ownership.
Yeah, so we're essentially, since we've got ownership and property episode already done, we're going to tie that into obviously our economic systems.
Yep.
And we'll go over differences and how that affects each other.
Yep.
All right, so Thanks for listening, and like I said, engage with us on social media. Give us some feedback when you can.
Feel free to donate too. We really would love it if you guys could just spare just maybe a penny.
This isn't ASMR.
I'll do this as much as I want. Okay.
Fuck you. All right, later, guys.
I'll see you guys later.